Non-Americans of Reddit, what is the craziest rumor you heard about America that turned out to be true? I always thought that the Olive Garden in The Simpsons was just code for "generic restaurant." I mean, you're still accurate in saying that. I really want to check something. In the movies/series, schools have a fuck ton of extracurricular activities and clubs. Basketball, football, swimming, cheerleaders, chess, and a lot of more. How true is that? Also, how serious are those games between schools? Yes, that's real. The seriousness varies by geographic region. Where I'm at in Ohio, school sports are fairly lighthearted, but in Texas, high school football is very serious. Yeah, I'm from Alabama and high school football was taken extremely seriously. Probably because we don't have an NFL team, so college and high school football are way more serious. Yep, here in Alabama football is literally life. Probably more so than people even think when they are joking about it. Surfer dudes actually speak like that. Californians speak like that too. My native California ass believed for the longest time that we were the only people that didn't have accents. I studied in Maryland for about half a year back in 2017. I'd always heard that Americans are like super good at pie. I was pretty much all alone during Thanksgiving since everyone else was with their families. One of the ras I'd befriended knocked on my door and brought me all different kinds of pie. Dear Lord, I've never tasted anything that delicious. From blueberry to apple to pumpkin. Every single pie. They were all amazing. I'm sorry to read that you were alone over the holidays. If I had known, you could have come to my place for dinner and homemade pumpkin pie. All the food is bigger. Username checks out. I think it's why it is cool to ask for a box to take your leftovers home with you here. They just serve so much. Sports bars are actually exactly how they're portrayed on TV. Just much less attractive people. Find bars where the beers are like $8 and everyone is generally attractive for some reason. Nickel beer night, you will basically be drinking with everyone you would see at the DMV. Masked people come to your house, knock on your door asking for candy. Mostly it's just packs of kids, but sometimes whole families. This was my friend's Halloween culture shock. It's a ton of fun to hang out next to the walkway in a costume, pretending to be one of the decorations, and scare people as they walk past you. Drink sizes. Holy shit. When my family visited in 2017, we landed in Texas for a stopover. First thing I saw in the shops part of the terminal was a dude who was drinking from what looked like an actual effing bucket. Here in NZ, large drinks would be considered an American small or maybe medium. Texas is known for basically having double sizes of anything from any other states. Everything's bigger in Texas. Carrot. We need bigger cups though than most of the world, since over half of the cup is filled with ice. As an American that has lived abroad, yeah, everybody else apparently hates cold drinks that stay cold. Everybody else apparently hates drinks that get diluted. Fix that for you. Biscuits and gravy is a legit thing. Also, you can ride motorcycles without helmets in some states. And your iced tea isn't sweetened, unless you ask for sweet. Edit. Nothing could have possibly prepared me for the absolute dichotomy of sweet tea vs iced tea in the comments. This is evidently very important to many. A good sausage gravy with sage and black pepper, with some good flaky biscuits, is one of the best southern comfort foods, along with a cup of strong sweet iced tea. The tea thing depends on where you are. If you're in the southern states, except Florida, they'll give you sweet tea, unless you ask for unsweet. Not exactly crazy, but I wanted to test out the stereotype that Americans will talk to anyone, so I sought out a sports bar on my first visit. Ended up having a ton of really fun conversations with total strangers who I'll never talk to ever again. It was great. American, I will speak to anyone about anything. I can't even count the number of times I've randomly started conversations with strangers, become friends within 30 minutes, then never spoken to them again. When I started traveling for work, I'd often find myself in bars or on flights and buses alone, so I'd end up starting a convo so I could have some human interaction, lol. $2 bills. I remember working at a Taco Bell and our new cashier never saw a $2 bill in her life, and this dude tried to use it to buy his taco, and she said, "Sir, this is counterfeit, and I will call the police if you don't leave." He starts yelling at her, and our manager steps up, takes the bill, and gives the man his order, and tells the girl that $2 bills are actual currency. I couldn't stop laughing. True story. I've had the same experience. The $2 bill is uncommon, but just common enough that you shouldn't have a problem getting your hands on them. If I go to the bank teller, I'll ask for my cash in twos if it isn't a huge number. I like to spread them around in my travels because they are my favorite form of cash money. The minimal amount of paid days off you get from work. A friend of mine from Wisconsin was very proud he got 20 days off per year. If someone in Germany would offer me only 20 days, I would laugh at him and leave. I get like 14 maximum, and I have to accrue them. I started a new job where I get discretionary/unlimited PTO. I was freaking out. I could not believe that I got paid for 4 days vacation after only 2 months on the job. I'm salary though. American state and national parks are some of the most beautiful places on earth. All parks could use more funding, but American parks are well staffed and maintained. There's real pride. I love our national and state park systems. One of my state parks recently got a herd of bison which I haven't seen in the wild since my trip to Yellowstone. The week I graduate I'm going to go see them and relax in nature. You can thank Theodore Roosevelt for that. America has libraries that are essentially free to use. This was not even a rumor, but more like sarcastic comment from a friend who heard I was excited to go to the US because he knew what book nerds my entire family is. When I first arrived here 25 years ago, the first day of work at Newark NJ, I walked out at lunchtime and saw the huge central library. The size boggled my mind, but I bravely walked in to check it out. The guy says, "Yup, show me your work ID for local address and you get a membership card." Me, how much does it cost? I only own $80 total till I get my first pay. He, bemused, almost laughing, "It's free. You don't pay anything." Me, after a brief recovery time from shock, "So how many books am I allowed to take home?" Expecting that to be a catch. Maybe I need to put down a security deposit for each book. He, now positively enjoying himself, "How many can you carry?" That day I took home 30 plus books, just being greedy, and quickly called my dad to tell him about it. For a guy who painstakingly would browse used bookstores in small town India, just to get his kids great books to read, he was suitably amazed. He was puzzled if that would kill the bookstore business, because who'd buy if such free libraries existed? Till date I remember the gratitude I felt that day for being able to come here. And when dad visited some years later, I would drop him off at a library on my way to work, and he'd be lost in it all day. Edit. Wow, a few hours of sleep and this has blown up. Guess it resonates with a lot of you. Thanks, y'all, for the plat, gold and silver. I'm humbled. To address some of the comments. Yes, by take home I meant borrowed. To return. Carrying those books home has a story too. The librarian saw my dilemma and wanted to stick to his original "how many can you carry" comment and would not allow me to discard any, so went off and got me 2 large bags made of cloth/canvas, like grocery bags. And when I lugged all that on the train back to New Jersey that evening, I had to walk home from the train station, no car, a mile away. Normally not bad, but with those books was tedious. A cop saw me and gave me a lift home. He loved my story about the library too. India today is slightly better, but as a kid in a small town, the only library I saw was at my school, where books were never allowed to be taken home. And there was this single shop where you subscribed to borrow some pulp fiction. The Asiatic library in Bombay was big, seen when I visited my cousins, but it had a wait list, I think of 4 years, because they couldn't handle too many members. I'm always amazed at what all libraries offer. I took my parents for a movie showing once, set up as a once a month thing for seniors, and they were shocked that it was free, and they were giving cookies and stuff too, along with pleasant company. My girls have learned to love the library as much, and probably have read more books than most kids at school. My daughter won an award for some accelerated reading and, at age 9, gave a speech about the impact of libraries for her and how much her dad and grandpa loved them. Thank you, libraries and librarians. This is honestly the sweetest story. As an American, I think you could also ask this question to Americans. Cause there are some weird ass states, man. Dry counties. Cities where places aren't allowed to be open on Sunday or there are only certain hours on Sundays. Not being able to pump your own gas. Whoa. There's places where you can't pump your own gas? I feel like an idiot for not knowing this, LMAO. That Hawaiians really like Spam. Yeah, and there's a perfectly good reason for it too. After Pearl Harbor, the effects of WW2 started in the US, and rationing became a thing. Well, it turns out that it's kind of hard to get fresh rations to an island that imports a lot. So, for meat, they had to make do with Spam. Human ingenuity prevails, and dishes were made. And that's how Hawaii learned to love Spam. Same with Koreans and the Korean War. Now you can buy Spam gift sets in Korea. Like and sub please.